The world stands still. Millions of eyes turn to the Vatican. The leader of 1.4 billion Catholics has passed away, and now history is about to be written again. What happens when a pope dies? Who decides the next? Today, we take you deep inside the most secretive election in the world, the papal conclave. Pope Francis, who died on Easter Monday aged 88, has been laid to rest following a funeral attended by hundreds of thousands of mourners in St. Peter's Square. He was the first Latin American pope in the Catholic Church's history. With the funeral now over, attention turns to the conclave, the confidential process through which a new pope will be chosen. Throughout history, conclaves have brought moments of significant change for the Catholic Church as each new pope leaves his own mark. The last 10 popes of the Catholic Church were chosen through this very sacred process. Only senior Catholic leaders, known as cardinals, who must be under 80, are eligible to vote, and the choice of a new pontiff is seen as both a duty and a spiritual responsibility. Conclaves have been held for centuries, following strict rules designed to protect secrecy and prevent outside influence. The word conclave comes from the Latin cum clave, meaning with a key, reflecting the tradition of locking the cardinals away. Since the 15th century, elections have taken place inside the Sistine Chapel, beneath its famous Renaissance frescoes. The last conclave, in 2013, elected Pope Francis after just 5 rounds of voting, making it one of the quicker decisions in modern times. In earlier centuries, however, disagreements between factions sometimes caused conclaves to stretch on for months. This time, cardinals will gather once again in Vatican City, an independent state within the heart of Rome, to choose the 267th pope. St. Peter, regarded as the first pope in Catholic tradition, was elected around the year 30 AD. Once a new pope is chosen, he will be asked if he accepts the role and the name he wishes to take. The result will be announced with the appearance of white smoke rising above the Sistine Chapel, signaling that a new pope has been elected. Until then, the Catholic Church remains in the sede vacante period, awaiting its next leader. What does the pope do? The pope leads the Catholic Church and is celebrated as St. Peter's successor, giving him authority over its 1.4 billion followers. Catholics believe this connects him directly to Jesus Christ, making him a key source of spiritual guidance. Alongside the Bible, his teachings help shape the Church's beliefs and practices. Other Christian denominations, such as Protestants and Orthodox Christians, do not recognize his authority. Choosing the pontiff. 135 cardinals are under the age of 80, which makes them eligible to select Pope Francis's successor. Pope Francis appointed 108 of the 135 cardinals. This increases but does not guarantee the possibility that the next pope will share his vision of a more progressive, inclusive Catholic Church. Most of the voting cardinals are from Europe, a trend that has persisted for centuries. But the Catholic Church's geographical center of gravity is shifting. Asian cardinals, historically underrepresented, now account for nearly a quarter of the men who could be part of the conclave. Following Francis' death, the Dean of the College of Cardinals, Cardinal Giovanni Battista Re, has 15 to 20 days to summon the cardinals to Rome. During the conclave, the cardinals live in the Casa Santa Marta, a 5-story guest house with 106 suites, 22 single rooms, and a state apartment. Pope Francis lived in Suite 201 during his papacy. The cardinals will walk along the Via del Fondamenta every day to the Sistine Chapel, where the conclave happens. All conversations with outsiders are forbidden during this period. The faithful gather in St. Peter's Square during the conclave, waiting for the moment when the smoke comes out of the chimney of the Sistine Chapel, inside the conclave. Papal conclaves are notoriously difficult to predict because the election process is shrouded in so much secrecy. Once they enter the Sistine Chapel, cardinals must have no communication with the outside world until a new pope is elected. There is only one round of voting on the first afternoon of the conclave, but the cardinals will vote up to 4 times every day afterward. A new pope requires a 2/3 majority, and that can take time. Each cardinal casts his vote on a simple card that says, in Latin, "I elect as Supreme Pontiff," to which they add the name of their chosen candidate. They walk in line, in order of seniority, and place their cards inside the large silver and gilded urn. 3 assistants to the Camerlengo, known as the scrutineers, will then count the votes as they are read out loud. All the paper cards are then threaded together and burnt. Outside the Sistine Chapel, the world will be watching for the smoke from the chimney. If the smoke is black, there will be another round of voting. White smoke signals that a new pope has been chosen. The wait. Unlike other world governments, these men are not aligned with any particular political parties, so one never knows exactly what their priorities are, where they stand on controversial issues, and what they will have top of mind when they cast their ballot. All of it adds up to a lot of intrigue and very little certainty, says the BBC's Davide Giglione in Rome. It's not uncommon for conclaves to last a few days. The longest in history lasted 2 years and 9 months, starting in 1268. But after several rule changes to speed up the process over time, the average length of a conclave since the beginning of the 20th century has been 3 days. The longest, in 1922, lasted 5. Both Pope Francis and his predecessor, Pope Benedict XVI, were elected after 2 days. The cardinals may take some inspiration from the frescoes and artwork of Michelangelo inside the Sistine Chapel. Above the altar is the imposing Last Judgment with trumpeting angels on clouds rousing the dead. In the fresco, the artist depicts the ascent of souls to heaven. According to the Vatican Museum's website, the painting is centered around the figure of Christ just before the moment the verdict of the Last Judgment is announced, while other figures are seen cast into hell. Smoke and signals. There are also 2 temporary structures joining the cardinals in the Sistine Chapel for the duration of the conclave. 2 furnaces are installed at the back of the room to burn the ballots and create smoke for the chimney. The one on the right is used for the burning of the ballot papers, and the one on the left is used to generate additional smoke to signal which way the vote has gone. Chemical compounds are mixed to make the smoke either black or white. The release of white smoke is accompanied by the pealing of bells to avoid confusion for those waiting outside in the square of St. Peter. What's in a name? Once a pope is elected, he has to formally accept the job in front of the College of Cardinals and state his papal name. In a press conference after his election, Pope Francis said his name honored Saint Francis of Assisi and that he was inspired by his Brazilian friend Cardinal Claudio Hums. The pontiff told reporters that when he was proclaimed, Hums hugged and kissed him, saying, "Do not forget the poor." For more than 500 years, popes used their own names. This changed to symbolic names in order to simplify their given names or to refer to previous pontiffs. That is why most popes in history have chosen the name John, the Room of Tears. After stating his new name, the new pope is taken to the so-called Room of Tears, an antechamber in the Sistine Chapel where he first receives his papal robes and accessories like the white cassock, a cape called the mozzetta, and a white skullcap called the zacchetto. The room earns its nickname from accounts of previous popes who, overwhelmed by the weight of the moment, were moved to tears after their election. What he chooses to wear from that selection in those first minutes is a personal decision, one that can signal how he sees the role he's just accepted. Pope Francis notably declined to wear the elaborate red cope with ermine, opting instead for a simple white cassock. On a balcony in St. Peter's Basilica overlooking the square, the new Supreme Pontiff of the Catholic Church will introduce himself to hundreds of faithful from all around the world. The traditional announcement will echo around the square. Annuncio vobis gaudium magnum, habemus papam. I announce to you a great joy, we have a pope.